At the gym this morning, I was on the treadmill before lifting weights, and the whole section that I was in for the treadmills was completely open. And these two obese women came and they decided to go on the treadmills next to me for some reason. And they started talking about the men in their life, and they started talking about how men don't know what they want, and men only are after one thing, and men don't really have their purpose anymore. There's no more good men. And these women had to be in their mid to late 30s, maybe early 40s. And these are grown women that are obese, okay? And I'm not trying to be rude or anything, I'm just stating the facts. And these women are acting like they are the creme de la creme of the dating scene and the dating markets. And then they started talking about how they're from California and they've moved up here to find a better life. But they seem like they've brought their views and their politics with them, unfortunately. And at one point, they started talking about how men are all narcissistic and most men don't even know how to treat a woman nowadays. And there was a time where I just started to raise an eyebrow, and I kind of glanced their way, and they were able to shut up about that pretty quickly because I just was dumbfounded because it just goes to show that, you know, there are more women that are evil in the world than there are men, and more women that are delusional in the world than there are men. And I know this because this is the kind of stuff that I see on a daily basis. And it's not even like I'm in a place where, like California or New York, where there's a lot of degeneracy and whatnot. I'm in Utah, in a pretty, not necessarily rural, but not necessarily urban either. And I didn't say a word, but by my whole demeanor, they got the picture that I wasn't having any part of their conversation. And I pretty much left after that to go to a different area to finish up my cardio and then get to weightlifting. And I got to thinking about how these women have probably never had they're in their, again, they're like mid to early or late 30s or early 40s, obese women, and they're talking about how they're just, all these men are just narcissistic. And it's like, well, what exactly have you been doing as a woman since then? I mean, obviously you haven't kept yourself healthy, and I'm not trying to point any fingers here or anything like that. It's just like, you can't even do the basics of keeping yourself healthy, and you're gonna, and physically, and you're gonna be talking about the mental states of all men. Really? Okay. And you know, this is why men are so done with it. Like, this is why we need more silent, dangerous men. Because the men that are, it's not necessarily silent, dangerous men, but like silent, dangerous men with a backbone. That's what we need. And they're almost extinct at this point, guys. The silent, deadly, godlike savages are nearly extinct. And it is profound to see the events and the ripple effects that has been occurring in society because of it. And it's because these women don't get checked. Like, they don't get checked. And it's because of all of these beta men who, I mean, if nobody's seen what's happened recently with Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, they're going through a professional separation at this point. And so they're probably getting a divorce. And you know, what did we learn from this? Well, we learned that a woman can only manipulate you if you don't really have yourself as a man. And this is a woman who has publicly humiliated the heritage of his family. This is a woman who has dragged the man away from his family legacy and now is abandoning the man. And this is a woman, this is the same woman who has had allegedly a lot of experience in Hollywood and with athletes, and she's been around apparently and allegedly, and not even a prince, not even an actual prince was enough. You really need to be you really do need to be this narcissistic superhero in order to keep some of these women that are around nowadays. And it's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious to me, because the women that are complaining about the narcissistic men, 9 out of 10 times, I don't buy it anymore. And the reason why is because I've had consultations with probably 30 women out of over the 200 people that I've done consultations with over the past 1.5 to 2 years. And these are people from around the world, okay? And the women specifically that I've talked to, I would say maybe 5 to 10 out of the 30 that I've talked to have actually had narcissistic people, and specifically males, in their life. Whereas the other 20 to 25 women, they wanted to blame somebody. And the difference between a lot of men that I do consultations with and a lot of the women that I did consultations with and have done consultations with is that the men oftentimes aren't deluded. They know exactly what they did wrong. They know exactly where they went wrong. They just don't really care. They're just failing to take action because of it. Whereas the women will deny reality, and they will deny it because they don't want to be, they will try to gaslight you. I've had women in consultations, and men too, but more so the women. I'd say this has only happened a few times with the men. Most of the people that I've done consultations with are really great to work with, and they're actually doing the work. So I don't want to take anything away from them, but I do want to draw on my own experience because I think it's going to be important on this topic. And so the men, they generally just don't know what to do, or they don't want to apply what they know to the situation. And it's because they want the Pink Palace. They want the Pink Palace. They want to play in the Pink Palace, and they don't want to let go of not being able to have access to that Pink Palace. The thing is that Pink Palace that they think that they're going to lose, they have no clue how many others are going to just be wanting you to visit their Pink Palace down the line if they just work on themselves. And again, you'll get to a point as a man where you almost you're like so confident and so competent and so in your grind and doing what you need to do that you're going to be turning down more women than you're asking women out, or you're trying to get with women. You're going to be turning down more women than you're trying to get with. And that's just going to be a fact because you don't have time to waste. And there's been some kind of speculation in my community recently, especially over the past 2 weeks to a month, where I've had to make an example out of a couple different women. And, word will get around about how you're not interested in certain things. And I didn't want to have to do this, but I'm somebody that has a backbone. I'm somebody that doesn't take BS from anybody. It doesn't matter who you are. And I've been challenged more and more because of it. There's been more people. It's almost, it's super weird. Shit tests, right, that women do sometimes. It's almost like the men are shit testing you now. Are you really that guy? Are you really who you say you are, kind of a thing? And the men are testing you almost as much as the women. And it's super bizarre, but that's exactly what's happening. And we just have a lack of these silent, dangerous men that are able to just be stoic and stand up for themselves when needed. And I'm not saying that everybody has to be silent or dangerous or anything like that. I mean, you do need to be dangerous as a man. You need to be capable of physical violence if necessary, but you don't resort to that. Like, that is the last resort. That is something that you never want to be able to go to, but you have to have the capacity to do so. And so it's just kind of funny to me to hear women like this at the gym who are obviously, and good for them for being at the gym. Good for them for, getting out there and trying to be healthier, at least, better late than never, okay? But at the same time, to hear these kinds of mindsets of the people there, which doesn't usually happen at my gym, by the way. Like, usually the gym that I go to, there's not a lot of like obese people. Usually most people there are like pretty dang fit, and they're really healthy. They're participating in bodybuilding shows. We have some of the best athletes in the state there. That's one of the reasons that I go, is to be around people that take fitness seriously. And even though their spirits are not always going to be aligned, they definitely have their physical discipline down to a T. But it's important to understand that just because you're physically healthy on the outside doesn't mean you're spiritually healthy on the inside. And that's what the silent, dangerous man with a backbone understands. He understands that he has to have a certain kind of gentleness with the people that he cares about, but also enough force and enough aggression to be respected. Okay? And it's kind of like you have to be that lion. And I'm developing this reputation in my community, I think, because this is the energy that I've been getting from especially women recently. Is like, there's this guy, me, that is basically like a lion that could lose his temper at any minute, but he chooses not to. Like, he's able to be calm, cool, and collected. But over the past couple days, I've had to put some Jezebels in their place because they kept talking about me and, pointing fingers and looking at me. And, I confronted them, and I asked them if they had something they wanted to talk to me about. And of course, they just kind of shiver away and no, I don't have, no. And it's like, okay, yeah, well then stop what you're doing, okay? Because it's impolite. It's impolite to do things like this. And, that's just kind of the way that I go about it is I'm calm, but I'm also assertive about this. And I try to make sure, because I don't talk when I'm out in the community unless I absolutely must and have to. I just don't do it because I know that my words carry a certain kind of weight that will invoke, or rather provoke, the demons of other people. And it's not just because I think that I have God's presence more than somebody else. It's that, no, there's actually something, because my words and my actions are so aligned, because I do what I say I'm going to do, my whole vibration, my whole energy, my whole spirit operates in a different way than most people, because most people say they're going to do things and do something else. And that's like 90% of the population on Earth. But if you're somebody that has their words and matching their actions, that's a tough go. That's a tough go, because people are not going to be able to mess with you in the way that they think until they realize that they can't. And so you got to stand up for yourself in certain situations. And I'm not saying go look for trouble. Okay, remember Mufasa and Simba in The Lion King? It's like, being a king doesn't mean you go looking for trouble. It's only being brave when you have to be. And part of that is standing up for yourself and not letting anybody try to put you off your square and put you off center. And that's exactly what we can learn from Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, what they are doing. And we can also learn from these women that are older that have gone through certain things and are now, a little bit bitter about things. And I can understand, but I don't know their choices. I don't know all their decisions that they made, because usually the people that I talk to that get to that point in their life, specifically women, and they've had to make certain choices to get there. They really did. And I met a woman who she wanted me to think that she was innocent, that nothing had ever happened to her. She was a woman that would just be taken advantage of every single time in her life. And she was a 42-year-old woman, and she just has had the toughest life, and nothing has ever gone her way, and et cetera, et cetera. And then we start digging into her past a little bit, because part of the consultations that I do are a little bit like therapy, as well as just understanding who you are and meeting you where you are. And it's like spiritual therapy, I suppose. And so we get asking certain questions, and she's answering the questions, and it's like, okay, well, if that happened, and that happened before that, and then this happened before all of those things, well, then that's why. That's why. And it turned out that she was not so innocent, that she had done a lot of stuff. I will not say too many details, because this was like a year ago, when the last time that I talked to her. But there was a lot of things that she hid from me from the first few sessions, and she even lied. And she was like, I don't know why I lied, and it wasn't just like a little lie. It was like a whole, this is going to change your view of my life kind of lie. And it did. And it was like, well, then if you made those kinds of decisions, why are you surprised at where you are now? And it turned out that she actually wasn't surprised. She knew. And so this was a good example for me of, even in these kinds of, sometimes people will just want to act like the victim. Sometimes people will twist the stories so much to make you look out to be like you're the bad guy, you're the dangerous person, because you're trying to find and seek the truth. And then once you do, and you reveal the truth, and you expose the truth to this person, and you really hold up the mirror to them, they can't handle it. They don't know how to handle it, because they can't handle themselves. And that's why it's so important, as a silent, dangerous man with a backbone, it's so important for you to have yourself. You cannot be that kind of man and not have yourself. It's just impossible. But we're going to be the ones that are able to keep this darkness at bay. And I think that there's still a lot of hope for humanity, and I have faith in humanity. But at the same time, I understand what humans are like, and I understand what humans are capable of. But I have a more holistic, existential view of mankind at this point, and existential in a good way. So with all that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful. If you do want to join a godly community where we are getting together, building our brand purpose, are strengthening our relationships, we're increasing in our fitness, and really just training our mind, body, and soul in every way, there's going to be two options for you that you can try. There's the free Discord that you can get at the Regal Change Academy. Link is in the description box below. And this is a free Discord channel that you can join with a bunch of free resources available. Then we have the paid community, where you get a weekly Bible study call, a weekly group call, and then a bunch of other classes available, as well as the godly community itself. And all of that's just $10 a month right now. And, this has kind of been something that I've been thinking a lot about. It's like, this is cheaper than Netflix, and it's going to provide you way more value. So why not give that a shot? And I want to thank everybody moving from YouTube over to X and Rumble recently. I appreciate your guys' support. And with all that being said, peace be with you. Till next time.